Alright, and welcome back. And today we've got our fireplace here, we've got some wood in the fire, and it is time to light her up. Alright, first order today, get ourselves a part, a trusty old part here. We're going to bring her over to the fireplace, and we are going to insert an object. And I'm going to show you the default fire. This is the fire that we had for the longest time. For anyone who's been around for a while, this is the old fire that we had, and it's got some useful configurations. I mean, we can change its color, its heat is how high it goes. You know, we can make it, well, that's not good. Let's go lower. We can bring it back up, change its secondary color, and we can also change its size. We can make it bigger, smaller, all of that. So that's all great, but it doesn't, it can work, but I'd like a little more customization. So we're gonna go and insert particle emitter. And these particle emitters are very useful. You can see right away that instead of emitting from a single point at the center of the part, we're emitting from all over. And this is going to be useful because it can let us cover a larger area with our fire that we want to have with only one part. So let's get right in. You can see right away we've got a whole lot more customization here. And I don't need the toolbox right now, or that. There we go. So you can see lots of stuff to customize. But the first thing I'm going to need is a fire particle, and if we wanted to, we can go to the texture here, and Roblox has some textures. So we're going to set this one to fire main, and that's the name of their fire particle that was in the other fire that I showed you. And I'm just going to use this for this tutorial here. You could make your own, you could maybe find some in the toolbox, but we'll use this one for today. And let's start from the top. We'll go color here. So we can either just select straight up, just select a color like this, or we can have it change color over time. So I click on left here for this box for the normal color. On the right, you'll notice this little option here. This gives us the color over the lifetime. And good fire, it's hot initially, is actually burning blue. So we're going to start with some nice blue fire. We'll click about here. We're going to change it to a good yellow, good golden yellow here. Yeah. And then ultimately, we want to end up at a nice red orange. There we go. So this is our gradient, you could say, for our fire color over time. And we're going to leave that for now. That's good. Light emission. So right now the particle, this is the actual texture. The texture itself is dark. But the light emission, we can bring it up so it actually glows. So I don't know if we need it all the way. We'll bring it partially up, and part of the thing with particles is you're just going to mess around with settings some of the time just to tweak it to get it right. Light influence, I believe we can just leave that one there. That's how other light influences the particles. Size. Size here, you can see we can set a single size. That's probably pretty good. But we can also change, oh, here we go. I don't need it that big. You can see this is what we can use to change its size over time. So let's say we want to start small. I'm going to put this down here so we can see it. So we'll start small. You can see we're starting small here. We can increase in size. Here's the value here if you want to put in something exact, and then we'll bring it right back down to something small. So that's good. And right now, if you look closely, we're way up here with our particles. So I'm going to quickly jump down to the lifetime here, and I'm going to set, so the minimum, it has a min and a max, and you can just type it in divided by a comma here. I'm just going to set it to like half a second to a single second. And there we go. So you can see now our size, they're kind of growing and shrinking like we had it before. And Z offset, I'll come to that. Let's do transparency first. So transparency here, I like to start my stuff completely transparent. We can have it quickly fade in here, go up, and then we'll fade it out right at the end so it doesn't just disappear right away. It kind of fades out. So that's looking better now. Z offset, if we have it to 1, you'll notice it's how many studs towards your camera. So if we set it to like -1, it's always going to show behind this part. Or if we set it to like 5, it's always going to show up. If there were like, even if this was quite thick or there was another part in front of it, we would see the particles through that. But we don't need that. We can leave that 0. We could name this, you know, our fire particle emitter. And acceleration, I'm not going to use that right now, but that would be, you could use that to speed up the particles or make them change direction. And then lifetime's good, but we need more of these. So let's increase. There we go. I'm going to go up to light emission again. I'm going to, it's not going to make much difference. That's looking good. Let's bump this up to 100. Yes, there we go. Now we're getting some fire. And I'm actually going to change how long these can go for. Before I do that, actually, so you can change how long, or you can mess with the speed, because this might be a little fast going. So there we go. Nice roaring fire there. And we can change its rotation, and this is going to be the minimum and maximum rotation that they can start at. I'll just set this to 360 so they can spawn in any rotation. And rotation speed, we could go from -60, so that's rotating one direction, to 60, so that would be varying how much in both directions. And velocity spread would be, you know, if we have it 90, you'll notice the particles are coming out everywhere. Normally you might leave it at 0, or you'll just give it just a little bit, so it kind of, you know, it'll kind of spread out. What we can do, let's name this fire part so we can keep track of it. I'll make it completely transparent, and we'll go ahead, put this down in here. Yeah, there we go. So now we're getting a bit of fire, and we can play with it a little more. Make the fire come up a little more, and maybe not have it, whoops. Let's resize this. I don't think we need it. We'll bring up its transparency so it gets completely transparent. And we can see it a lot better. That's looking good. We'll make it a little brighter. Like fire. And there we have some nice fire. So you can go ahead and mess around with these, or you could use the default, and you might try looking. You could go view, toolbox, and then you could go to your decals and look for like fire particle. Something like this might work. So what you do, take it, drop it on, I just normally drop it on a random part. And what I'm after is this asset ID here. So we'll take that. We don't need that anymore. You want to make sure to copy that ID and go back to our particle here. And we'll just paste in that number. So there, you know, maybe that looks better. And we could change its size to be a little bit larger. There we go. So now that could work better. You know, you can see looks a little more fiery. Looks like a better particle, so we could have less fire there. There's one more thing that this needs, and we'll get into that next, and that is lighting. Because we got this fire here, it's looking great, but we really need it to give off some light for us. So in our next video, we'll look at different kinds of lighting that we can have and that we can place in our world. So until then, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.